guilty of crime.
All right, everybody. What's up? I'm Jay with Guilty of Crime, and hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Throw a thumbs up if you can hear me. Let me know. It's one of those days. Happy Monday to everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. Yeah, take your meds and get your popcorn. I even put the little hit the like button in my little lettering. I changed it because I have my Friday the 13th shirt on. Oh my God. Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome. Hit the like button on your way in. We have a huge week, you guys. We have a huge week of Jennifer Soto and, well, Stephan Sterns, justice for Madeline Soto. There's so many things that are coming in that I don't know how to, what and where to go first. And I'll always take the love from Rose Federline. Love you, Jay. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we need a Manic Monday t-shirt. You guys wouldn't believe it if I told you. You wouldn't believe it if I told you what happened. So I'm just going to say prayers for Madeline Soto, and we're still alive. We're not a little girl that lost her life because her mother didn't take care of her, knowing that her biggest fear was Woody Allen. And yeah, that could be used in court, by the way, and I'm pretty sure that it will. And that's why we're talking about it today. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Jay, like the right. Yeah, I just switched it up. I was like, hey, let's see what that looks like. Playing with the fonts. But we do have a huge week, you guys. I really truly think that something big is going to hit soon. Now, you guys know that Stephan Sterns, that he's got pre-trials coming up, right? And supposed trial dates. They're supposed to be picking jurors, etc. So I think that's why a lot of things are coming the way they do. Welcome, Edith. Love you, girl. I love being able to see your guys' pictures here. And if I don't say it enough, I love you guys. I appreciate the crime crew. Thank you for everything you guys do. And get yourself a membership if you can, because we are going to do a members only in 2 days from now. Very sensitive topic. So I decided let's do a members only and catch up with each other. If you have the means today to donate, if you don't, that's okay. My freezer just went out right now. You guys, when it rains, it pours. Like I said, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. But yeah, just 2 seconds ago, the wife comes in and says, hey, babe, all of our food is spoiled. Our freezer broke. And I said, okay, I can't be that upset because I'm reporting on this potato, Jennifer Soto, the potato that says her biggest fear is Woody Allen, knowing that that's going to be used in court, guys. That's going to be used in court because that is telling us that she knew what was going on. And you're going to see what we're talking about today. So I'm going to break this down. I have lots of other things as well. And I just have lots of commentary, lots of things coming up. And as I remember them, I'll talk about them, like Sylvana Vester interview that I have. Thank you to Bree for the FOIA request. And we have 12 depositions that you might have heard, but not in the way that you're going to hear it from us, along with some audio. I mean, we're just going to break things down this week in the way that you like to hear them. So, but first, we're going to start with crazy, crazy. We love her, Nancy Grace. And I haven't heard it broken down this way before. It's a fairly new one. People have been asking me, Jay, why haven't you broken this one down yet? Why haven't we gone over this? Well, because we have so many other things. And Naziah Harris, guys. I've been trying to get in that community. I've been talking to other people in the community and I'm trying to get them on my channel or I'm trying to get on their channel because guess what? Naziah needs justice, guys. Freezer Fun, Jamie, Casey, 9.99 Freezer Fun. It's so cute. I love seeing your guys' pictures down there like that. Love the tattoo. That font's a little off the wall, but hey, thank you. Yeah, I just called my son over, by the way. I wish you guys were closer. I called my son over and I said, hey, come get as much food as you want because it's going to be all gone. We can't cook it up. And then after that, maybe we'll go put it down where the homeless people are and whatever they want because I don't want it to go to waste. But that's the least of my worries. My biggest thing is to get justice for Naziah Harris is on my mind hugely, and Madeline Soto. Those two girls it breaks my heart. Edith, thank you, girl. Thank you for gifting the One Guilty of Crime membership. And you guys, I hope you guys feel appreciated over here on my channel because I feel appreciated by all of you. All right, we're going to get into this. There's so many things that I bet you didn't catch. I bet you didn't catch these things you didn't catch. And then there's other things that I want to talk about. Like, did Stephan Sterns carry Maddie out, or did Jen help him? Or did she, in fact, walk out and then the smothering happened in the car? It's got me thinking, guys. I'm not saying that's what happened. It's just got me thinking. And it's not because you said it or I heard it. I also am hearing it from other people. And I'm like, wait a minute. Where is this coming from? Yeah, Kylie, don't get me started. Patty, yes, Patty Strategic is also covering that case. That's fantastic. And so many other creators. I have Strategic and I aren't really on the same schedule since he's an officer. He kind of works and he's 3 hours ahead. So kudos to him for what he does. And that's fantastic. Go over and watch that. Grizzly's covering it. I'm covering it. And I want to be in that community, guys, because one of my episodes, guys, I'm pretty sure the grandma helped cover up the death of Naziah, guys. And you wouldn't believe it if I didn't show you. If I didn't show you that the grandma lied on the stand, guys, the grandma, Naziah Harris's grandma, lied on the stand about knowing where Naziah was and about finding her and about, you guys just mind blown. Okay, so again, Jennifer Soto, Woody Allen fear. Is that going to be used in court? And rigor mortis. Let's talk about rigor mortis and how we think that set in and what it looks like and why it would help us to figure out closer time of death, as well as if Maddie was actually still alive when she left the house. All right, guys, you guys, let's get into it. Let's get this lady into it and we'll talk with you guys. Love you all. Prayers for us all because today has just been a day. I'm so glad to be here with you all. All right, let's get to it.
Murdered Maddie Soto's mom says she feared a Woody Allen situation. Really? Yet she continued to allow her then 12-year-old little girl to sleep every night in the bed alone.
All right. Now, many of you guys may have heard this. I promise this is a new take on it. And we bring in another person that's a different lawyer that has a whole different thing. My thoughts on this are way different and they've changed quite a bit. And because of the way that statement got picked up, there's no possible way that this isn't going to be brought into court, guys. There's no way. As I'm watching the Naziah Harris case unfold, and by the way, if we think that this is bad, Jen Soto letting Stephan sleep with Maddie every night, the Naziah Harris case is 100 times worse. So say a prayer for both those girls. Let's get into this. Nancy Grace is passionate. but it's what she says and it's who she brings on the show that makes this conversation, I assure you. So buckle up, guys. Let's buckle in.
With mommy's boyfriend? This, as on secretly recorded jailhouse calls, we hear mommy's boyfriend turned murder suspect state, Maddie started it. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us.
So you're saying presumably her school computer was in her backpack? Well, I can confidently tell you she did not go to school with her backpack. Because we found it in the trash.
Yeah, that's mom's live-in boyfriend, Stephan Sterns, trying to explain why Maddie's backpack was found in the trash, talking about that she went into school the whole time. He knows why her backpack is in the trash, according to prosecutors, because he put it there trying to hide evidence. But in the most recent and bizarre turn of events.
And before I even get into that, guys, just think about one person doing this alone. I'm not saying it can't happen, and I'm not saying that it didn't happen, but what I'm saying is there's a huge possibility that it didn't happen, and it's a huge possibility that very, very soon we're going to have fingers pointed like this. Stephan Sterns doesn't want the death penalty. He's made little comments about not being his fault, which I think he's victim blaming. However, just try to imagine this happening. Imagine him getting Maddie's body out of the house at 7:30 in the morning. Okay. Her obviously changing at least once, maybe twice, because she had some kind of black shorts that at some point Jen saw her with, and that hoodie. We don't know what she was wearing underneath or if she was. Okay. And then them putting socks on her and losing a crock on the way out. Now, how the heck did Stephan not only do that, but simultaneously, as he was doing that, how did he put paint on the stuff, saturate it with paint, go back, throw the bag in, get as much as he could, do the laundry, clean up as he was coming back and forth without nobody suspecting him? And when I say nobody, meaning Jen Soto, because other people went to work and they weren't really paying attention to him. You guys tell me. I think if we were to get little characters and put it on a board and put the time frame minute by minute, it just can't make sense, guys. Can't make sense. Yeah, you keep freezing. Am I freezing right now? Does anyone else say I'm freezing? Because I'm hooked right into the computer, guys. Let me know. I hope I'm not freezing, because I've done everything to have the best internet. All right, thank you, Foxy Amazon, for the one Guilty of Crime membership. Maybe. Yeah, no, I have like the fastest internet. I just bought the best computer, guys. Don't tell me that. Please don't tell me that. Maybe it's my creepster stuff. What if I go back to normal? All right, let me hit play on this and see what happens. I just have so much. Hope you're breathing. And I have things being knocked out right now. Malibu. Oh my God, my house is being torn apart. And insurance companies are being bad pooches. All right, let's go.
Murdered Maddie Soto's mother. Let this sink in. Who has gotten immunity.
Once.
Says she feared a Woody Allen type situation. Listen.
I've always told him that my biggest fear is that this would turn into a Woody Allen situation where the stepdaughter or the dad grooms the child and the child then turns 18 and ends up running away with him. I told him like that was my biggest fear and I don't ever want that happening. Like, you can't do that to me. Like,
so take a listen to this.
Now, was there any other way for you guys to take it? I know you've heard that 100,000 times. Is there really any other way to take that? I mean, seriously, if you are old enough to know, always told who? Yes, who'd she always tell? That's a good question. We know who she always told it to. That was what she said to Stephan, and probably why her and Maddie fought a lot. Okay. Now, it's well documented that her and Maddie had a lot of tiffs. Teenage girl, hormones going, both with the same man. Now, Maddie was being abused, so I can't say sleeping with the same man, but they're both competing for his competition clearly. And yes, Jen Soto's disgusting. So when she says that, she's telling that to Stephan Sterns more than likely. I really doubt that she used that reference with Maddie. Now, maybe Maddie was in the room and Stephan and Maddie were cuddling, the under the armpit cuddle. And she said, "You guys better not fall in love and go run off." But that's the only reference. That's the only way you can take that reference. And they're going to bring it back up. All right, let's keep going. If you guys tell me any other way it can be taken, let me know.
Yes.
So we go back to 2020, we're looking at a minimum of 3.5 years. 3.5 years where I'm sure you guys are sexually active.
Go.
Yes. So for 3.5 years under your care in your house, not only is he being sexually active with you, you had a sexual relationship.
Did you hear that crying? See, in my mind, straight out to Shannon Butler joining us, investigative reporter WFTV, Channel 9 in Florida, where this happened. Shannon Butler, those little gulps should have happened when she first thought she had a, quote, Woody Allen situation between her live-in boyfriend, Stephan Sterns, and her little girl, then 12. Of course, Maddie told everyone the moment she turned 13, she wanted to go live in the woods. Gee, I wonder why. But I think those tears.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it was several times, not just living in the woods, but Jen saying, "When you're 18, I want you out of this house." And Jen and Maddie saying, "When I'm 13, I'm going to live in the woods." So I feel like that happened quite a bit more than we know. Obviously, Jen's not going to say, "I'm a bad mom," even though she says she's a bad mom by the things she says. Now, Woody Allen is a very specific situation, not general, like her mom told her not to trust a man. It's very specific. We all know that they paid enough attention to each other, and Woody Allen fell in love with the daughter, and they got married, and all over the years they were having sex, right? So what other way can you take that? And how is that going to come off on the stand? I cannot imagine that that's not going to be used. And that's why we're talking about it here. It's going to be used in court. Jen Soto's going to be some witness. More than likely, she's going to be a state witness, or they wouldn't have done that whole queen for the day nonsense. Well, unless they find something in between, but there's no other way that they could have put that. And you better believe you're going to hear that when she's up on the stand, if there's not a deal made. They wanted the police to think that Maddie ran away. And you guys, I got to tell you something. The interview that we're talking about that I wish I can do today. One of Jen's friends is right down the street from where Stephan was supposed to, and I'm saying allegedly, dump Maddie's body, but he didn't make it because of the flat tire. Now, this is Jen's friend, her longtime childhood friend that Stephan Sterns didn't know. He didn't know the area at all. So we're going to talk about that as well. But he didn't make it to where he was supposed to. I think they were trying to, bide a little bit of time. They didn't expect Stephan didn't expect to be turned in that quickly for what happened with the tire, and he went back that night. You guys, he went back that night. Now I don't know if when he went back that night, he thought about taking her and disposing of her somewhere else, or he went back that night to just spend a few more minutes with her. But he drove all the way out to the dump site for a reason, and then he still decided to leave her there. Yeah, that it was a 2-minute drive. When Bree says a 2-minute drive, Jennifer Soto's longtime friend lived 2 minutes away from the site that Maddie's body was dumped. And then, mind you, Jen Soto also lived in a condo that was right down the street from there as well. And then we mentioned gators. Okay. So let's keep going on this, but something to think about because so many things are popping up right now in this case that something big coming. I can feel it.
Would have been more appropriate when she first had an inkling there was a Woody Allen situation. Her words, not mine, Shannon.
Yeah, early on in this investigation, when we first talked to investigators, right after those
Maybe.
interviews, just hours after those interviews, they had told us they had felt that she was much more upset over what was going on with Stephan Sterns than what was going on with Madeline Soto. I don't know if it just hadn't sunk in yet that that Madeline may be found dead at this point, but they felt that
Yeah.
the tears and the anguish was much more about Stephan Sterns and what was going on there than about her daughter. And that always troubled those investigators early on in those interviews there. I mean, you can see by their behavior, if you listen to this, they were agitated in this interview, trying to figure out how this possibly went awry, how she missed it. She said she knew nothing about it, but
So she doesn't get a immunity deal. That was something she blurted out to them, you guys. That was a blurt out moment of her thinking of all the things that she could and thinking back in her head what was going on. So that was nothing to do with her deal. And you better bet they're going to say something about that because it's way too specific not to. It only means one thing. Stephanie Goodman. Love you, Jay. Love you back. Thank you guys for being here. You guys always make my day that much better, even when it's a crappy day, which I got to say, I'm alive, so I'm happy, but it has been a rough day. All right. Now, So Hard to See says if they catch Jen in a lie, the deal is off. They know she lied. Right. That's what they told her for that day, but she wasn't talking about that day. So they were just trying to get a statement from her and find anything that they could. And she didn't really give them anything. And then they cut off the meeting. M. Farr finally caught alive. Good to see you. Yes, I agree. Potato and Stinky are both guilty. If she can make a Woody Allen statement, then she suspected Stearns and her daughter Maddie. Absolutely. Agreed. Agreed. But it's going to come back and haunt her. There's no way they're not going to use that. That is a really good strategy when you have somebody up on the stand to have refer back to that and see how she answers it. I hope they prep her well, but she's kind of dumb. So even though I know she's not as dumb as she looks, she's still pretty dumb.
in that comment that she was worried about her daughter in that Woody Allen
Right.
Type situation. Obviously, there was some kind of feeling you had, right? That something was amiss in your
Yes,
home.
exactly,
Yeah.
Shannon. And you know what? Shannon Butler, guys, joining me from WFTV Channel 9, you really hit the nail on the head. I want to hear this one more time because all she's talking about is me, 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 me. Nothing about Maddie.
Yeah.
Woman, Maddie is dead. The state says your live-in boyfriend murdered her before she could reveal you were her practically on a nightly basis, alone in bed while mommy got a good night's sleep in another room. Listen to this. You're dead on, Shannon Butler.
I've always told him that my biggest fear is that this would turn into a Woody Allen situation where the step.
Okay, now, and I'm going to rewind it for one more second because she just said it again. She told Stephan that. I didn't think that she would have told Maddie that because Maddie would be like, what the heck are you talking about? And not even be able to comprehend that. But I'm 99% sure that in the very beginning of Stephan playing games with Maddie, for instance, hey, if you keep it in your mouth for 3 seconds or whatever he was doing, you can watch cartoons if you keep it in your mouth for 30 seconds or whatever. I'm pretty sure at that point she had told Jen Soto something about it's not making her feel comfortable. Mom, she was confused at that point. At some point, I'm pretty sure she stopped telling her that, and Stephan groomed her so well that she felt like they were the boyfriend and girlfriend, which we know it's not because it's abuse. Now, I want to thank you, Bertha Seraphine, for the $25 Cash App. I appreciate you so very much. Thank you guys. Okay, I'm gonna do that one more time. So she was telling Stephan this. Clar says, Jay, can you show your members only on Patreon too? I'm having a hell of a time renewing my membership. I don't know if I can, Clar, but if I can, I will. I don't know if I'm not sure how to use Patreon if I could stream it simultaneously or not. So we'll figure that out. But I just don't know. I don't have an answer for you. If I can, I will. And maybe Bree can help you. I'm not really sure. We'll figure something out. It's a maybe right now just because I don't know the answer.
Butler, guys, joining me from WFTV Channel 9, you really hit the nail on the head. I want to hear this one more time because all she's talking about is me, 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 me. Nothing about Maddie. Woman, Maddie is dead. The state says your live-in boyfriend murdered her before she could reveal you were her practically on a nightly basis, alone in bed while mommy got a good night's sleep in another room. Listen to this. You're dead on, Shannon Butler.
I've always told him that my biggest fear is that this would turn into a Woody Allen situation where the stepdaughter or the dad grooms the child and the child then turns 18 and ends up running away with him. I told him like that was my biggest fear and I don't ever want that happening. Like, you can't do that to me. Like,
you can't do that to me.
Okay, so it was very clear what she said. It's very clear what she said. She was talking to Stephan. She had a conversation with Stephan more than one time, I'm going to suppose. And she said, you're paying way too much attention to her, something along that line. Something happened. Maybe she, walked in or saw something, or just what we saw, right? We saw the post that says my girlfriend's daughter. I bought her a toy. You had it painted pink for her. It was always my girlfriend's daughter. So there's jealousy there, and there's a lot of attention. So she took Stephan aside and said, hey, I'm going to let you do what you're doing, man. You do what I need you to do. I'm the puppet master. You could do what you need to do, but don't run off with her when she turns 18. Don't do that to me. Don't leave me alone. We have a good trade-off going right now, but don't leave me. Okay? So that's what it sounds like to me. And I'm going to tell you right now, yes, Stephan Sterns is an absolute monster, but so is Jennifer Soto. And Jojo, thank you so much for the Guilty of Crime membership. We're going to get to you soon. Jojo has a friend that needs attention. She lost her life to excessive police force. Thank you, Jojo. We'll get to that soon. Lots of cases to cover. But I mean, she's telling us right there, and it's gonna come back. But it's her and all about Jen Soto. Don't do that to me. All right. I wish we could hear from Stephan. I wish they would ask Stephan when she said that, what that meant. I'd love to hear. I'd love to be a little birdie on the wall.
Okay, wait. Let's analyze this. Shannon Butler is onto something. You have to dissect what she's saying. Listen to this. She says, I've always told him, Stephan Sterns, the alleged killer and child, her boyfriend, I've always told him my fear this would turn into a Woody Allen situation where the stepdaughter, is she talking about her natural born daughter? Where the stepdaughter, the dad grooms the child. And then the child turns 18 after going through years of, which Maddie did, years of. The child turns 18 and runs away with him. Like what? The child's getting the big prize here in this scenario. She runs away with him. And I told him that's my biggest fear, that her daughter would run away with Stephan Sterns, a deadbeat, slung up in his girlfriend's home, alternating between his mom's basement.
Now, I want you guys to know that this Soto family is all show. So if you take the Madeline Soto case and you take the Naziah Harris case, very, 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 very similar. The only difference is that they didn't put on a show for anybody. They were just doing what they were doing pretty much out in the public with 8 to 10 kids in a house and doing things that if someone would have looked a little bit closer would have known. Now, these people lived in my opinion, they live in this glass bubble that looks all pretty, but it will break if you touch it. If you get too close to it and you touch it, it will break. All about looks, not about how you feel, not about how anybody felt. So I'm sure this abuse stemmed, and I'm sure not no excuses for Jen, but she was an easy target for Stephan initially because she wanted that attention. Her mom didn't give it to her. Wherever she didn't get it from Maddie's dad because she was cheating with Tyler, and Tyler didn't want anything to do with her. So this is a family that's all about looks, you guys. And even if they suspected, and I'm sure they did suspect something was wrong, otherwise they would have had Stephan Sterns going to the birthday party, and they would have treated Stephan like he was, like oh, Jen has a man, because they want it to look like that. But they knew he was a loser, and they didn't want it to look like that. Okay, so they know a lot more. And when I show you the houses that they live in, so I'm not going to give you addresses, I'm not going to dox anybody, but Jen's hideout, so to speak, I say we found Jen, and we did find Jen, or other creators like Plunder, bless her heart, calls it Jen's hideout. Where she's hiding out in it's outrageously way too good for her, and she needs to be arrested. And then when you look at her mom's house with all of that fraud that they had going, different companies, different fraud from COVID, you guys are going to be upset. All of this, that facade that they had going on, and all that time, that was what was happening to Maddie. And what makes it worse is that Maddie was in the middle of the living room, you guys. Lots of pictures of her being abused right in the middle of the floor. There were not even doors on there, and there's lots of pictures. Where was Jen, you guys? Was she really sleeping that hard? Was she involved in it? Was she sitting on her bed just kind of listening from the outside? Where was Jen? Because it was all in one spot, you guys. All right, Jennifer Collins says, as a mother or parent, you should fear your child being harmed, not a Woody Allen situation. That's not right. Exactly. And not so specific that you're telling your boyfriend or ex-boyfriend that and then letting them sleep together. I mean, let's just be real, guys. All right. Yeah, involved. Hey, you saw me chatting there on Grizzly. Yeah, justice for Naziah Harris, guys. All creators that are covering it, and justice for Madeline. This guy's the devil.
Don't ever, you can't do that to me. Okay. There's so many directions to go right here. Robin Dreek is joining me. Guys, Robin Dreek, behavior expert, former FBI special agent, chief, let this sink in, chief of the FBI Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program.
All right, before we get into that, they are going to talk about this, Cynthia, so I might as well say it now. He didn't say Maddie started it. He never said anyone started it. He said she started it. But I'm going to tell you right now, most of the time, and you could be right, because I've gone back and forth with this. It could mean Jen. Most predators blame their victims for giving them that look or that vibe, or they touch their leg. So in my opinion, and they talk about it here, I do think he's blaming Maddie. I do think that Stephan was cuddling with Maddie, and maybe she touched his thigh or something, because little kids don't know. And maybe he got a Woody Allen and he then blamed Maddie. Now, that would be great if he meant Jen, and then he could clearly testify. I hope that he did. I hope that he meant Jen. And with all my heart, I hope that. But so many predators blame their victim. So let's find out. Let's all find out together. Either way, justice for Maddie. If he meant Jen, then it's gonna come out. And yes, Kathy, Hannah, justice for Naziah Harris. Don't forget her name. We can't forget her name.
And author of Sizing People Up, a veteran FBI agent's manual for behavior prediction. Robin Dreek. All mom cares about is Maddie Soto, now dead, at that time a little 12-year-old girl. She might run away with the big catch, the BBD, the bigger, better deal. She might run off with Stephan Sterns and have him all to herself. Have I lost my mind? That's what she's saying, Dreek.
I know. No, I even wrote it on the sticky here. I mean,
Why are you so calm? I know.
because there's so many data points that are so predictable in this. Everything she's been saying the entire
Yep.
time is her, like you said, like Shannon said, and that's what the investigators picked up on right away. And that is, they saw deviations from what normal people that are missing.
Again, I'm glad I didn't pause it on that picture because that's probably the time where this started. It was definitely where Stephan started grooming not only Maddie, but Jen as well. She was an easy target. And then once she caught on, she just let him do, in my opinion, do what he wants. Now, Stephan Sterns could absolutely mean Jen started it. And in that reference, I'm thinking that we're talking about the M word here and the capital offense of him taking Maddie's life. That's what I'm hoping. But when I look into predators further, 90% of the time they blame it on the victim and they say that they started it by giving them a look or touching them wrong or coming on to them. They literally will blame a 4-year-old for touching them the wrong way and say something like that. So if that is Jen, let's pray to the gods that comes out in court and we're able to do that. So 1-2-3 game was made Maddie feel like a participant, so she'd be less likely to tell, right? And feel like he's given attention to her. Absolutely lowest of low, disgusting monster. And Jen's right there.
Their daughters normally react like, and she spiked way out of the norm on that. And there's so much leakage throughout this. And even, I know haven't talked about it yet, but even his parents, I mean, everyone is seeing patterns of behavior that are deviating from what normal healthy people do. And they're all signals that saying there's a lot of unhealthy crazy going on here.
When we're talking about a Woody Allen situation, unless you've been living in a cave, I want to explain what Maddie's mom is talking about. Listen.
Woody Allen, Mia Farrow, that's the ideal power couple.
Woody gave her everything she could possibly want.
I was over the moon happy, but that's the great regret of my life. I wish I'd never met him.
Allen denies child abuse, but freely admits he's in love with another of Farrow's daughters, 21-year-old Soon Yi. 21 now. Okay, or at the time. That's where our friends over at HBO, it's Allen v. Farrow, was the name of the special at HBO. Okay, you know what? I just got to get my head around this. Mia Farrow says she had no idea that anything inappropriate or illegal may have been going on. And I have spoken with family members, and I believe Mia Farrow.
And I'm going to say this. I've talked to many people that have emailed me, and I would never say your guys' names or you ladies. There's a lot of people that have been abused, and they tell me that their mom didn't know, or they told their mom once and they didn't believe, and then it continued. So in that context, yeah, I can believe that. But in this context with Jen Soto, I don't believe it. I don't believe that she didn't know, especially when she's talking about the Woody Allen thing. And, how many other things can we count? 99? Should we start singing 99 bottles of beer on the wall and each one, every time we knock it down, pass it around, another new thing that Jen knew? So in that context, I can believe with the Woody Allen thing, he was there, he was an actor, etc., etc. Jen wasn't even regularly sleeping with Stephan Sterns. He was out dating other women. He would walk in the room and just drop his pants. I mean, there's so many things that all red flag, red flag, red flag. All right. Hard Seat says my mom walked in on it and stayed with him another 4 years until she left him. You see what I'm saying? And I'm sorry for that happened to you. Prayers to you and your family. That's horrible. That's horrible, and that's a crime. My God. The only thing possible, jealous. Yeah, I've always thought she's jealous of her own daughter. I've heard about that. I won't say who because it's kind of a close personal person that I know that's in my not immediate family that happened. And the mom and her daughter, she literally would blame her for it and be jealous of her because the dad was looking at her a funny way. And so she'd call her a whore and whatever.
But she gets a very rude awakening, according to her, when she comes home and finds a stack of X-rated Polaroid pictures of her daughter, Sunyi. Listen.
There was a stack of Polaroid pictures. All of them were of my own child. I remember struggling to breathe.
That is Mia Farrow speaking to our friends at HBO in Alan v. Farrow. Okay, struggled to breathe. Joining me, Anna Soto, joining us, child sex abuse grooming expert, clinical social worker, and author of Duck, Groom. Anna, thank you for being with us. You know what, Anna? I'm just a trial lawyer. And I've tried a lot. I can't even count how many cases I've either tried or investigated and brought to a guilty plea. Child molestations where the mother knew.
Yes.
Full well what was going on. She either knew outright or she put on blinders and didn't want to see. I don't believe that about me.
Now, here's the thing. She didn't. Now, with Jen Soto, her not wanting to see, I believe that she didn't want to see, and she saw it only when she was open to it, or maybe was okay with it that day and feeling good or whatever. But I 100% think that she absolutely knew, and sometimes she turned a blind eye to it, and other times when it didn't suit her, she didn't, and that's what caused rifts. Maybe that's certain times when Stephan Sterns, why he moved out and would be gone for a month or two and then come back in. Otherwise it just doesn't make sense. Why so many times did they break up? She never once talked about that. We still have yet to hear why they broke up or why he moved out and why he'd come back. She never really told us anything about that. So do you think it was because of that? Hey, Auntie Ree, how you doing? And love the avocados. When she wasn't zonked out. Right. And I'm sure she was zonked out, but a lot, but not as much as she's leading to believe. Yeah, selective blinders, Krista. Selective blinders is a huge crime. All right, let's keep going.
Mia Farrow. I believe Mia Farrow really did come home and find these Polaroid photos, because when she says, I remember I couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
It hit her like a train. Unlike the case here, where Maddie Soto's mother way back said, I feared a Woody Allen type situation. What I'm saying is, I had so many moms. I just wanted to give them a finger necklace because they would go along with it or choose not to see that their child is being.
Yep. Thank you for
Nancy.
wording.
This is gruesome. Even the fact that we have to have this conversation is an alert, big red flag for anybody who's currently dating, has anybody coming in and out of their lives when they have children in the house. Predators go out of their way to be selective and intentional with who they choose to date. And women who are raising minor children are a perfect choice for a potential predator. Here, in this case, we have child maltreatment at a minimum, because child sexual abuse is not random and it's not sudden. This was a reoccurring situation, chronic situation for poor Maddie that she had to endure because no one was protecting her.
That's the key right there. I'm going to put it back for a second just so you can see the picture of who should have been protector. It says Jen Soto. Again, we hope this changes sooner than later. It says 13-year-old Maddie Soto, the big M word. Jennifer Soto has not been charged in relation to Maddie's case and is innocent until proven guilty, right? We hope that changes soon, but she was the one person that should have protected her, and she didn't. And it was more than her turning a blind eye when you hear a statement like the Woody Allen situation. And I can't believe they didn't further ask. But the only thing I could think of is that she's going to be one of the biggest witnesses that they have. Nobody else seems to be being able to fill in the blanks. And we're going to talk about that because we have the 12 depositions and the people that they have involved that don't know half as much as Jen Soto knows, whatever you want to say. Right, let's keep going.
Because no one was protecting her.
Yep, right. Thank you,
when you guys
JoJo.
showed me the picture of her, I believed the sexual stuff,
There
but I
it is.
didn't want to believe that he had done anything evil to her. I'm like,
There it is.
no, what if he did this stuff fine, but what if she's still missing out there? What if somebody took her? I still wanted to believe in his, I believed him. I believed his whole story. So I was just like, I kept repeating that part.
Now we have. Thank you for bringing that up. We thank you for bringing that up. We just hit 420 people. Please do me a huge favor, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't. Hit all the notification bells, and then share with your community. That's the best way we can get this out there. Get justice for Sebastian Rogers, Madeline Soto, Neziah Harris. We even got the little Michael Vaughn. Is it what they call him, Monkey? That's a whole other thing we need to talk about as well. Now, we have talked about this. Hearts my face. There is definitely a web sleuth on duty wrong. We're talking about Oblivious Benson that found out about Jen and Stephan being part of the same fetish site. We actually have talked about that extensively, and Oblivious Benson let me use her content. She sent me content this thick worth of stuff that talks about the different fetishes they have, and it can't come to find out that Jen, and it shouldn't matter, but her bisexuality leads me to believe that she was involved more in all three of them being in the bed and doing stuff more than it leads me to believe that she wasn't. Once I heard about that situation, so yeah, we absolutely do talk about this, but we don't always talk about it. I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of episodes on the Madeline Soto case. So if you go back and take a look, you'll actually see me on an episode with Oblivious Benson and doing my own stuff that she let me borrow. So absolutely, at some point though, Jen Soto lost interest and Stephan Sterns lost interest in each other. They stopped having sex, and he was doing that only with Maddie. Every once in a while, he'd get kicked out, go try to find another woman that he could latch onto and groom. And then we saw how he'd come back and forth. So absolutely, I mean, yeah, we have episodes. You guys would have to go back and watch my playlist. I literally have hundreds of episodes just on Madeline Soto, hundreds on Jen Soto, and hundreds on Stephan Sterns, all broken up. So if you guys want to go back, check out my playlist. You guys do it. I have over 700 videos for you to consume that has everything and then some. All right. Yeah. I got the reason I got onto this case, Mr. Beers, is because I got brought on with the advocates. They wanted me to be a voice for this community. And that, so I think that's why I have a lot of content on it. And then OB brought me in to meet Duty Ron. So yeah, we definitely do know about that. We don't talk about it all the time because it's a harsh topic. All right, let's keep going.
I'm just like, what if she did get dropped off? What if she got abducted? What if she's missing?
What is this woman on about? What is she saying? No. After you showed me the images of my live-in boyfriend, Stephan Sterns, my 12-year-old, I didn't want to think he did anything evil to her. What? Okay, that said, let's move forward with what we're learning now. Mom long feared a Woody Allen type situation, but did nothing about it. I want you to see new video that we have obtained.
Yes, and this is what we're here for. And we have new video obtained too. You guys, this whole week, a lot of it focuses on Madeline Soto case with Jennifer Soto and Stephan Sterns. So you know where to get that from. Now, Michelle, we had a huge talk about Jen participating with Stephan and Maddie because they all slept in one bed for a long time, and all the roommates knew that. And once I found out that she was bisexual in that community, and people started filling in the blanks, then I truly believe that. And hearing other cases over and over and over, it's not far-fetched, guys. It's not far-fetched. All you got to do is go back and watch one of my episodes of Neziah, and you'll believe it. All right, yeah, Nancy Grace has grown on me as well with her harshness, but she comes with the content and it gives you a different perspective. So, I respect everybody that respects me. And that's how we roll with Nancy. So let's go. She's an OG in my opinion.
Of the defendant, Stephan Sterns, acting out how Maddie was asleep in his car. Shannon Butler joining me, WFTV. Maddie wasn't asleep. She was dead.
See?
Propped up in his car and buckled in. Buckled in.
Okay. So this is a topic that, and what's up, Misty Free Spirit? I haven't seen you in forever. This is a topic that I would love to hear about with you guys, what you think, because I cannot imagine how did Stephan Sterns get Madeline Soto out of the house without anybody seeing. Do you think that she walked out of the house and that maybe she was still at that point just DRUG'd up from the night before because they double dosed her? And then after, when he went back to go get that, I was thinking he was holding her up, that Stephan Sterns was holding Maddie up with a leash. And, but when I think about it and I'm hearing her say this, and then you listen to this lady, it could have been he went in there and got the leash and then strangled her in the car. So I don't know. I don't know. And it just brings that to it brings that question to my mind. How did he do that all alone? If it truly was only Stephan that got her out of the house that morning without anybody seeing, got her dressed, lost a crock, paint, threw all the paint on her stuff, threw it away, and then went back and forth and did all this stuff all by himself. It just doesn't sit right, guys. I just can't get past that. So let's keep talking about that. And you guys, I'll dig through my own files. If you guys want to hear more about the fetishes and the websites, I can go and find my video and then re-upload it like I did with the roommate video. I go back, find it, throw a new title on it, and you guys have never seen it before. Like the Vigil. You guys were not all following me from day one because, the algorithm. And her socks were clean. She did not walk in those socks. They put the Crocs on and she lost one. Period. That's just how it goes. All right.
Yes, assumingly, he wanted to do that because he drove out of the condo complex right on the way to school. So that would work with his story that I took her to school that day. So if there were cameras or any of the neighbors had, seen him, they could be like, "Oh, I saw him. She was in the front seat," and they were driving out of the complex to match his story. But investigators knew right away from looking at that video, they knew Madeline Soto at that moment was not alive. That is why they came out so early and could say that they believed that she was already dead before she left the apartment complex, because that video to them was very, very clear that she was not moving in that front seat.
Right.
So Dr. Eric Eason joining me, board certified forensic pathologist
and more than likely that's the case. But if that's the case, which they've said that's the case, and they and cops could have zoomed in on it and saw that Maddie wasn't breathing. How did Stephan do that alone, guys? How did Stephan do that without Jen Soto's help? Because we know the roommates weren't helping him. How did he do that alone? I just don't believe it. Hey, Carrie, good to see you, my girl. Guilty of crime. Remember the one major thing I bring up all the time around 9 a.m. How was she slung over his shoulder in the parking garage if rigor mortis set in? When does the time of death? That's a good question, Carrie. You're absolutely right on that. And I've looked up rigor mortis, and it varies so much that it's hard to tell. You're right. I wish I could. Well, I don't want to see it, but I wish if I were a juror and I saw that video, I'd love to see her, like how he had her, because depending on if he took her life at 11:49 or 11:47 and then logged on to his app and then kept her there for hours and hours, that will give that determines the time. But you guys, I don't have a definitive answer about rigor mortis. It's the spectrum's this big, guys. So if anybody knows about rigor mortis, it does take hours to set in, but then other people say sometimes it sets in faster depending on the weather, the temperature, how they got their life taken. So I'm not really sure how to answer that. But yeah, that's a good, what you said is very true. if that had already set in and he put her over his shoulder, we would have to see a picture to kind of understand that. Now, we know she was 110 to 112 pounds, and Fatty Sterns was over, I think, 220 pounds, 6'2" or something like that. And I'm sure he did that more often than not because she was DRUG'd a lot. So I'm sure he moved her around in the bed, posed her, did a lot of things like that. And thank you. I've looked that up too, and I appreciate that. Malibu Surfer rigor will set in and then go away. So it really depends what position the body's in, how they got, where the circulation was cut off, how it got cut off. There's so many things that it depends on that it's really hard to say. And I wish that I wish I had a better time. I wish I could narrow it down more because it would also help to understand how involved Jen really was. All right. So you say I've heard you say 5 to 6 hours for rigor, and then I've heard 2 to 3. I've heard it could take, so it's just really hard to tell. Yeah, I've read so many different things, Grace. It's unbelievable. But I never claimed to be an expert. So Dulcie says it takes effect within 1 to 2 hours, with full effect being complete within 6 to 8, and then does go away. So that's why it's so hard to tell, y'all. It's so hard to tell. Now, Tammy says she thinks he did it all alone. And there you go. If he did, it's just so hard to believe he did all that in that time frame alone without Jen being any bit wiser to it.
Consultant. Dr.
What?
Eason.
I don't know.
I guess he buckled Maddie's dead body in because he didn't want to get pulled over on a seatbelt violation.
Wow.
The reality is, Dr. Eason, is that at that time, rigor
Okay,
had
there it is.
likely
There
not
it is,
set
guys.
in.
There you go.
So her body would have still been limp. So he had to buckle her in or she'd fall over.
Correct. Yeah, the body still would have been limp and she still would have been warm as well, because it takes time after death to occur for the rigor to set in and for the body to cool, or rather assume the surrounding environmental temperature. And then there's also lividity that would take a while to set in, that settling of the blood after death.
Yeah.
Hold on, Nellie. Wait a minute. Slow down, man. I know this is regular.
And that was a perfect topic for you to ask about, Carrie. And do you see how many different answers? Now, Tony, I 100% agree with you about that because I'm a Brian Koberger. I'm on the Brian Koberger train that he did that to all of the victims by himself. But when I say people doing crazy things and him doing it alone, is what I mean is all of the details that he did. Getting her out of the house, dropping the crock in Jen's room, dressing her, redressing her, getting the paint, pouring the paint into the bag, getting the lap. I mean, all the details of all the little things that happened. Of course he could have done that. But in my heart of hearts, I just feel like Jen, when they said they were cleaning up, I feel like Jen was helping clean up a crime scene, is what I'm saying. Maybe he took her life alone, but all the details that are going together just don't fit right in my mind. That's it. But yeah, if Brian Koberger can walk in, slash, and do all that, absolutely. Ted Bundy, any of those. Adrenaline is a crazy, crazy thing, you guys. Right. And I appreciate all of you guys. This is what we're here for, the conversation and to get justice for Madeline Soto. Gotta get justice for her. And that means arrest Jen Soto.
Talk for you MEs there in the medical examiner's lounge, but slow down for all of us novices. Okay. Rigor is when the body stiffens up. There's livor mortis, where the blood settles down to the lowest point of your body. Like if you're on your back, all the blood in your body goes to your back and your rear end and the back of your legs. So explain to me why he had to buckle her up, because rigor had not yet set in. In regular people talk, please.
There you go.
Well, she hadn't gotten stiff yet, so she was not going to be able to just sit there in the car seat without flopping over, and so it had to be buckled in.
What exactly is rigor? And does it set in and then dissolve over a period of hours, or do you stay in rigor?
No, it's muscle stiffness. So the muscles don't contract; they just become stiff due to the body depleting this chemical known as ATP. But trying to keep it simple, the body becomes stiff, and then over time you'll reach a full stiffness, full rigor, and then it'll slowly go away. It all
Thank
takes. It
you.
depends on how you die and the surrounding environmental temperature, but it comes on, then it goes away.
Dr. Eric Eason, every once in a while I'm analyzing a case or I'm investigating a case and I'm, running down the rabbit hole, sometimes it's easy to forget we're talking about a little girl that
Yep.
just turned 13.
Right.
That had been
Right. And I believe that is Grandpa Juan there. And you guys, this little beautiful angel needs justice. All right. Every time I see a new picture of her, she looks older and older and more mature and way beyond what she should be. But I also see the hurt in her eyes. When I see her, I see the hurt in her eyes. There's no way that she can't have that. So I'm pretty sure that's Grandpa Juan. And the more I think about that story, when Stephan says he told Jen, hey, honey, don't worry about it. Go back to bed. I'm going to take the dog potty. But he had never taken the dog potty before. I believe he used that leash because we saw it in the front seat. We saw it around the back, and he used that leash to hold Madeline Soto. And I'm sure they have that in evidence with her DNA on it. May Maddie rest in peace, you guys. Say a quick one for Maddie. Whatever, Lord, whatever God, because all right, I just got a little emotional here. She needs justice, just like Naziah Harris, and I won't stop saying their name until I feel like justice has been served. Justice will not be served. Will not be served unless Jen Soto gets locked up. And Clark says, y'all remember being in love? Remember the smell of your significant other after being intimate? You're telling me you wouldn't pick up on the baby you made 13. Clark, and that's 101 things that we could add to the 99 bottles of beer on the wall. Take one down, pass it around. There's 97 bottles right there of exactly what you're saying. Absolutely. I understand what you're saying, and it makes me want to vomit because I do. My baby's 10 years old, and when she comes home from school, I always hug her and kiss her and smell her, and I'm like, oh, what'd you guys have for lunch today? Or did you guys make as a mom? So yes, I understand what you're saying, Clark. And I love I've noticed there's more men on this channel. What's up, Wyatt, my other man? I was looking at the statistics today, and we're almost 60-40 now, guys. Gentlemen, we've got 60% women and 40% males. We're getting there. You guys are rocking. You guys don't talk as much. You don't chat as much, but I see you and I appreciate you. And I know you guys all want justice the same way we do for Madeline Soto. It breaks my heart to see that picture. It makes me want to cry. And I'm not an emotional person. Not emotional person at all. Yeah, let's arrest Jen Soto before I get upset. All right.
living in hell for years since she was at least 9. And we figure that out because of how far back the video and photo
awful,
images on
man.
his phone go. He, according to the state, had been this little girl and taking videos of it in mommy's home for years. And you and I are talking about Rigor and why he had to.
And there you go. Yeah, we're talking about Rigor, and Jen Soto sat in that room talking about her daughter's body. You guys, she talked about their body, about going to. Yeah, I am getting emotional because I have a daughter that's 10, and I can't believe that the things that were happening to Maddie would be something that can happen. I can't. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And that picture right there is right around the time when she was being groomed. And I pointed it out before, and I'll point it out again. Look at her hands. Look at Maddie's hand. She didn't even want to touch him like that. She didn't want to be on his shoulders like that. And I'm sure he was having a grand old time with that look on his face. But Maddie didn't want to do that stuff, but she eventually was groomed into it. And just like Naziah Harris, thinking that that's the attention that you get because it's so normal. Look at her hands, guys. She's not holding him like most of the time when you play chicken, they grab you by the neck. When I play with the kids, they're grabbing my glasses off, holding my face. She doesn't even want to touch him. Body language says a lot, folks. And Jen sat there with those nasty gummy teeth and didn't use her brain and let it happen over and over and over and over. All right, let's keep going. We do need to rest Jen Soto. Yeah, I don't know what victim blaming. Yeah, we definitely don't blame victims here on this channel. I'm saying that I wish someone would have noticed that that little girl was uncomfortable and stopped it right there. And she didn't have a good life. She didn't have a good life because after this, she was made to do things that nobody should be made to do.
Buckle her in, and what is livor mortis and what is rigor mortis.
She does.
And I have to think about my little girl and my little boy at age 12. It's easy to forget that, or do we just want to forget about it when we're trying to analyze? Because it's hard to focus on probative issues and forensics when you're thinking about your own child.
Exactly. I mean, she was going through hell leading up to the death, and then we haven't even talked about the actual cause of death itself. So, she was strangled, which is a very violent way to be killed, especially if you're a 12-year-old, by another man. So,
unless Jen did it, the way she talked about it, I wouldn't put it past her because it was just the body. It was just gators that were going to eat her body. And then you go cremate your daughter knowing that there's this monster that's been abusing her for years. And you don't want to find out the whole truth, you guys? You don't want to find out the whole truth about what was happening? You're just going to go and cremate her and then give the ashes away like no big deal? There's 444 people in chat. That's Maddie saying hello and thank you for the justice that we're looking for her. Stearns is evil and Jen is just as evil. Mafe Martinez, thank you so much for the $4 super sticker. I want you guys to know that every penny goes back into my channel and it goes back into just supporting me so I can be here with you guys. I'm very transparent with you guys about my life. Some people like it and some people don't like it. If you don't like it, then don't be here, guys. I like to be as transparent with you guys so you know who I am as a person and just be straightforward. So justice for Maddie, you guys. We're all here for the same thing. Yeah, the walls in the rooms were so close and thin. Exactly. Not even just that. She was not in the room most of the time. Those pictures, Rosie, were in that brothel looking room that had that little Asian partitions that Duty Ron said looked like a brothel. You can see right through that and hear right through that. And many of the pictures were taken in there. Yes, thank you, Terry Jones. I'm here because I want to be here. Well, I appreciate all of you guys. Some people just, I put my heart and my soul into this, and then they insult me, and it's like, I don't need that. I don't need that, especially not on days like I had today. So bless you guys for being here. We're here for justice for Maddie. Beautiful Maddie. She's right there. Didn't have much longer to live, but I still see the sadness in her eyes. Poor baby girl.
A grown man, mommy's boyfriend that has been molesting me for years. Okay, guys, I steered us off course, but I'm getting back on. I want you to see what I saw, and I couldn't verbalize why I was so aghast when I saw it, but you'll understand. Watch this.
She didn't say anything. She was just asleep. She was just reclined in the chair, sleeping.
Okay, explain to me, like reclining backwards?
Just laying back in the chair.
To renowned and veteran trial lawyer Philip
strangled
G.
that
Bay joining us.
Yep.
LA County Public Defender's Office, which means he's tried a lot of cases. They can't even say, no, this case disgusts me. The judge says, you're on it. You're the public defender. Have fun with that. So I guess, Philip, I'd like you to look one more time at mom.
And we'll pause it before we do because I love these people's input and I love how everybody's going for Jen Soto. Everybody knows that even though we're not able to find a crime right now in the law book, first of all, laws need to be changed. I know they're working on Maddie's law in Florida. That has to be changed, guys. Nancy Jean, you know how much I love you, girl. I see that Madeline Soto locked down there. Nancy Jean is one of the big driving forces there in Florida. Thank you so much for the $4.99 super sticker. You're the hero here. And all the people that are involved in this case, doing depositions, calling in, and being part of it. But we do need to make change. We do need to let this be the change so that the next little girl this doesn't happen to at all or for so long. All right, let's keep going.
Mom's living in a boyfriend acting out how little Maddie Soto just turned 13 had just dozed off in the front seat of his car on the way to school one morning. She was sleepy. Watch.
She wasn't saying anything. She was just asleep. She was just reclined in the chair, sleeping.
Okay, explain to me, like reclining backwards?
Just laying back in the chair.
Ooh.
Do you see him leaning his head back like he's snoozing?
I bet they
guess,
wanna
Philip
strangle
Dubé,
him.
that's why you tell all your clients not to speak to LE law enforcement.
Of course, and they
Exactly.
never listen, and that's why we all have a job in this system. But I will say this, to be fair, a lot of kids
Yes.
at that age who have to get up at 6:30 are tired. They're sitting in the car. They maybe just had a little bit of breakfast. They are fatigued themselves. They're not exactly like the energized bunnies looking forward to going into a
What are you
classroom. So
saying?
some of
Are
them
you saying
doze
she
off.
maybe was asleep? What? How does that? How
Yeah.
in this world does that have anything to do with Maddie and dead by strangulation? And you're talking about some other child might be a little sleepy in the morning. What? Because they had to get up at 6:30? That has nothing to do with Maddie. She's dead. She was dead in that photo.
I'm definitely not laughing at him. I think it's amazing how Nancy challenges her guests. Man, what's up against all logic? How you doing? Yeah, it's crazy because people have said that. I mean, this guy is saying what's on other people's mind. I believe the police, and I believe that they saw it close enough that they know that her life was already gone. They've seen enough lifeless bodies, but he's not the only one to have brought that up, folks. I mean, her walking out of the house and then being zonked out from double medication, and then something happening. Although they call it premeditation, so what happened? That's what I want to know. Anyway, let's listen to her ream for a minute. It's kind of funny. How you doing, Lori? Good to see you, and I appreciate you. We're here for justice for Madeline. So yeah, he's a good defense lawyer, but I would not want to see. I don't want to see who's defending Stephan Sterns or Jen because it makes me want to strangle them. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, Clark. It's called Devil's Advocate, and sometimes I play Devil's Advocate on my own channel, and people get upset. But you gotta see all sides of things, guys. It's called being open-minded and then getting to the truth. So there's not one. It's not black and gray in this world. It's not black and white. It's colorful, and there's lots of shades of gray and every other color. All right.
Where's the proof of that beyond a reasonable doubt? So far, the evidence is the kid was in the front seat, was tired, leaned her head back, and that's it. I have not heard one shred of forensic evidence that this child was in fact clinically dead in the front seat of that car. All we know is that she was there and may have dozed off. That's it.
Nice.
Okay, Shannon Butler, can you please help me?
Choo choo.
Throw me a bone. Okay, I need a life raft, actually. Shannon joining us, WFTV. Explain to Dubé how you and I know she was dead, according to the state, in that car, buckled in so she wouldn't fall over.
So investigators were very certain when they looked at that video of the car driving out of that complex, they could tell just from the video that Madeline Soto was already dead. Now, the timeline of when she was killed, that is still a mystery. They don't know what happened inside the house, but they know when she was buckled into the front seat of that car that she was already dead. They knew it by looking at it. There was no doubt in their minds. They came out very, very early and said that Madeline Soto was no longer alive. They could tell, they said, because she looked limp and was slumped over in the seat, it didn't look like she was sleeping to them.
You know what? I've got a very strong feeling that Dubé's not going to buy that because investigators said so.
So I'm wondering, and I think that she was already done. I want to see that text. I'm trying to find that text. It goes so quick. I guess he's just doing a good defense. Defense. I keep blacking this out. And he's being a defense attorney. Thank you, Green Eyed Bandit, for the $2 super sticker. I appreciate you guys. We're having a members only, and I plan to do a lot more members only during the months, and a lot of the vertical members only. So you get more exclusive content and for supporting the channel. Okay, so I do appreciate that. Now, yeah, I guess he's being a defense lawyer and playing devil's advocate, right? I've never thought that it was inside the car until I started hearing people from my channel ask me about it, and then other people from other channels kind of talking about it. What would have happened? I don't think so. I don't think so. We're gonna have to have a conversation about that. Clark says, that's an awful nice hoopty. I can't believe anybody being embarrassed over that Lincoln. It isn't 90210. Right. That was a weird thing to say, too. That was a weird. Yeah, we want to do that. We want to fire up old Sparky. All right. If she was limp, then Rigor had already started to subside. So that's what I want to know, guys. That's what I want to know too. I don't quite understand that concept when it comes and it goes, but then it kicks it, and it could be what, 2 hours to 6 hours. That's the thing. That's the thing is that I'm not quite understanding about it. But I still think it was closer to the morning that he took her life. And then I always thought it was anywhere from 2 to 6 in the morning, or maybe when the roommates heard that. I don't know. Thank you. All right, let's keep going.
It didn't look like she was sleeping to them.
You know what? I've got a very strong feeling that Dubé's not going to buy that because investigators said so. Dr. Eric Eason, Maddie, never made it to middle school that morning at Hunters Creek Middle School. She never got there. Okay.
Right.
The last time she was seen, she was in that car with Stephan Sterns.
Yeah.
Okay.
Her mother did not speak to her as normal that morning before she went to school. The mother did not hear her voice to know she was alive that morning before she went to school. She didn't make it to school, so we know that indicates anyway, very strongly, circumstantially, that she was dead before that. We know based on eyewitnesses that shortly after.
Okay, I'm going to pause real quick because this is what I wanted to see. Now, Rebecca, that's a huge deal. I'm telling you, the roommates even said not only that, but there were tools on the table, guys. We heard those videos of the roommates saying there were tools. Now, I don't think it ever came out to be an electric tool because we were going back and forth trying to translate from Spanish to English, but Stephan Sterns never did a thing in that house, okay? So he certainly wasn't doing laundry. He left tools on the table. What were the tools for? Number one, okay? He was also doing laundry, but he left his boxers in there. But we saw the covers all folded up. So I'm like 90% sure the crime scene was in the house, and whether Jen knew or not, she was cleaning up that crime scene at some point between the time she got up and went to that blood appointment, and Stephan Sterns was coming back and forth doing the same thing because the roommate said that. Now, let's take a look at this. It's way too early in the morning, guys. Way too early in the morning. School didn't start until about, what they say, 9:30. All right, so 7:30 in the morning, Sterns' car spotted near the dumpster. Now, I believe Maddie was already in the car, right? 6 minutes later, female body in the passenger seat. So maybe he went to the dumpster and then came back because they didn't see it. They didn't see her at the dumpster. They saw her 6 minutes later in the passenger seat as he left the complex. Interesting. 8:19, he comes back to the apartment and the body's still in the passenger seat. So he's driving around for freaking almost an hour, guys, 45 minutes with her still probably strapped in. My God. 8:19, an hour and a half later, seen at the hotel. Okay, now this is when he goes into the hotel garage and moves her body to the trunk. Now, you guys, this is when we're talking about rigor mortis setting in, maybe. And hey, Ali Callie from Iowa, and Snee, my girl. Hello, thank you for the guilty of crime membership. Okay, guys, so maybe that started happening then. Maybe she was getting maybe her mouth was open and the rigor started setting in too much, and so he pulled her out in the that's weird that he did that. He moved her body to the trunk right in a hotel garage where there's like dozens of cameras. Then he goes back, his car is driving away from there, and he goes back. He goes back to the apartment at some point, and she's in the trunk. They don't talk about that. Maddie's mom goes to pick her up. Maddie never made it to school, and then she was reported missing. March 1st, Maddie's body found in the wooded area. They don't talk about the time that he put her in the trunk and then went home, chatted with Jen, you guys, and reset his phone. Nothing makes it into that time frame, but yet Jen knew that Maddie was probably in the back of the trunk. She talked about it smelling or not knowing, and then she also talked about, well, what would you think would happen? Well, strangulation, and then she talks about 192. So, guys, unless she's psychic, Jen Soto needs to be arrested when we're looking at that time frame. They left that whole thing out of there. All right. Stephan Sterns is such a dumb dummy. I'm wondering if that did happen, if her body started stiffening up, you guys, where it was like if the person next to him saw her, they would have been like, something's wrong with this. Her mouth was maybe way too open and she was too stiff. Because there's no reason that he should have stopped to put her in the trunk instead of just drive out of town and go get rid of her. Why did he keep her in the trunk for so long? Why was he driving around like that? That's what I want to know. I wonder if we're ever going to find out.
She was seen in the car with Sterns. Her body was dumped. He was spotted at the location where her body was dumped going into the woods. Her body was dumped shortly after that picture. Now, isn't it true?
Because he went back.
Dr. Eason, that a medical examiner can typically place a time of death. Isn't that true?
We can come up with a pretty good range. And so you base it on when they were last known alive and then when they were found dead. And you put a bunch of the pieces together and then you combine that with some of the postmortem changes that would have occurred. And so we're usually able to narrow it down within a pretty good range for the most part, yes.
Please join us on our mission to find missing people, especially children, to solve unsolved.
Oh, that's awesome that she's doing that. Yeah, we're going to be doing that as much as possible. You know, we always highlight the kids, you guys, but as we go in between Madeline Soto, in between Isaiah, and in between all the cases, definitely focus on children. And I appreciate all of you. Don't forget, my email is guiltyofcrimebyj@gmail.com. So if you guys want to be on the show, you want to be a guest, talk about something that happened to you, or you want to talk about, maybe you're a medical examiner and you want to talk about being a medical examiner and how it pertains or could pertain to this case or any other cases, I'd love to talk to you. If you're a psychologist and you want to talk about the psychology, you're an officer, whatever it may be. And if you don't want to be seen, that's okay too. I welcome you. guiltyofcrimebyj@gmail.com. I want more people on this channel. I want to collaborate, have more guests, and grow our community, guys, so that we can help to solve cases and get justice for these children and everybody. But children need us the most, right? We need to end me on the show. All right, let's keep going. That was a good time to talk about children and justice for them. because they can't speak up. We need to help.
Homicides. If you're on the go, catch us on your favorite little girl. For years, he kept all those videos, which is a whole nother can of worms. To Dr. Jory Carlson joining us, psychologist, faculty, St. Leo University, and author of Operation SOS. Dr. Jory Carlson, why do perps want to save their videos?
That's a great question, and it's because of fantasy. Okay, to really understand a sexual offender, you've got to get into their fantasy world, and they want to relive that. That's the whole key, the whole drive of the sexual offender. You notice on the report, they talked about the pictures were still like she was sleeping. Several of them identified him with her where her eyes were closed as sleeping. There's also a report where one of his previous girlfriends reports that in order to get an erection, she had to play like she was dead.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are two connecting behavioral patterns that are,
again, kinks, you guys. They're kinks that Jen Soto knew about, and we can go way back. We didn't want to talk and think about Jen, right? I'm a visual person, so I didn't want to think about those two nasty people that we're looking at as being into those kinks and fetishes, but she knew about his stuff. He knew about hers. At some point, they lost interest because that's what happens with couples, especially ones that are preying on their child. So yeah, I'm gonna look for that episode. There were lots of different kinds of kinks and fetishes that we know about, that we learned about in the very beginning of this case. And one of them, I'll tell you right now, was butt stuff, you guys. He was doing anal stuff with Maddie, and that's why we know now that they were giving her that constipation, the lax stuff to clean her out. He asked Jen if she'd be into it, and she said, no, I don't. Also, the necro stuff. He was into be quiet, don't talk, don't speak, don't even breathe. So necrophilia, and I'm sure other things that I missed. We can go back. There's a whole episode on that. But yeah, looking at these two people, it's disgusting to even think that was going on with them. But at some point, it started to be her. The focus was, Miralax started to be more towards Maddie, obviously, and Jen was feeling threatened as well. She's 35. You guys, I have to just tell you something funny real quick. The other day, I was watching a documentary, because documentaries are starting to come out now on YouTube, where like the big creators, the ones that have like 1 million followers, the ones that sit there and read off of a teleprompter, and they were doing the Jen Soto case, Jen, Maddie, and Stephan, and they said Jennifer Soto was 28 years old and Maddie's stepdad was 38, something like that. Anyway, they got some of the big key takeaways very wrong. So if I find it again, I'll bring it on and show you guys so we can maybe correct them. But they called Jen Soto 28 years old. I thought that was funny. All right, yeah, let's leave it as hashtag arrest Jen Soto, please. Let's keep going.
very significant and tie into his fantasy world.
You know what, Dr. Carlson, I never said this to you, but you're kind of creeping me out, and I thought I'd seen it all. I'm going to move on from that, and he's completely accurate, Dr. Jory Carlson. Not only is mom on record claiming she feared a Woody Allen situation between Stephan Sterns and her little girl, but yet did nothing about it. And we have Stephan Sterns acting out how Maddie was asleep in the front of his car buckled in. There are photos and videos taken of Stephan Sterns. Listen.
Ugh. Trigger warning, guys.
Go ahead and turn around, face the wall. Put your hands behind your back.
That's him.
Together like you're praying. There you go, just like that. Go ahead and spread your feet for me. Did you get a really good picture of this right here? This whole area.
See right there, they're trying to get photos of his hands, his wrists, his arm below the elbow. I wonder if there were scratches or bruises there where Maddie tried to fight back. I want to look at that video from beginning to end one more time, if you don't mind, control room. Let's just start.
Yeah, let's do it. No, I do believe we talked about that, right? And there were some type of skin cells underneath. Now, a lot of people keep telling me, Jay, it doesn't matter. It's okay if you cremate someone, but it's okay if you cremate someone because they already did it. They already took all the swabs and did the autopsies, etc. But here's the thing: many times things get missed, and that's why they exhume bodies, because something got missed. Either maybe the medical examiner was drinking that day or had an off day or was fighting with his wife or whatever. Who knows, right? Who knows what it is? But one of the very telltales when somebody did something wrong or wants to hide something, they cremate their significant other. Most people don't do that to their children, but the ones that do, like hashtag Jen Soto, did that, and they can never go back to look for something they missed. Like I said, maybe the coroner or the person that did the autopsy was drinking that day, had an off day, they forgot something, they didn't get enough samples, like sample corrodes, whatever it may be. Huge red flag to have a 13-year-old little girl cremated right away. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I have to get. I can't emphasize that enough. And that's just me. That's my passion, you guys. There's never any reason to do that unless you're hiding something. And now the only evidence that we have left is whatever they had left. And it could be years before they go to trial. That sucks, guys. So if you ever had a thought about Stephan Sterns and Jen Soto being involved, just know she had her daughter cremated almost immediately. That's a huge red flag. You do not do that. And you don't do that. It is typically a thing you ask, but you don't do that when you know there was a crime that was committed for years and years and years. They shouldn't have even gave Jen that opportunity to say that. Oh, it just bothers me. And sorry, yes, you're right. He's right. Karma is for her. Yeah. Yeah, huge biggest. If you're a true crime junkie like myself and many others that study true crime, that is the number one thing that people do when they commit a crime, and it's usually a significant other. They take their life, they go poison them, and they get them cremated. So that way, in case they didn't test for the right thing, samples corrode, and they only have so many samples, guys. You run out of samples, and that's why they do it. So anyways, that's always bothered me. It's always bothered me. Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like the Koberger house. Many people are bothered by that because you can't go back and test something if you forgot it. Yeah, that's guilt. That's a huge red flag. Clerk says, imagine the poor medical examiner very well could have missed something. How distressed I'd be. Exactly. A little girl like Madeline Soto, and seeing the damage, Clark, that was done to her body from the age of, let's be fair and say 7 or 8 on, damage and damage and damage, having to do that. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. None of that. She gave the ashes away. Here, you can have half. I'm surprised she didn't just throw them away.
Started at the get-go. Okay, take a look at this guy, Stephan Sterns. Look at him. Now, think about a little 9-year-old girl seeing this coming into the bedroom every night.
Oh.
And what could she do, Anna Sonoda? She couldn't call out to mommy because in her mind, that wouldn't do any good because mommy loves her rapist.
Nancy, Madeline had to pay the ultimate price for Jennifer to continue a relationship with an evil predator in the form of Stephan. We know that grooming was taking place. We know that the highest risk environment for a child is their home where they live.
Not the same.
And again, Jennifer opened the door to this predator, allowing him to come in. And where were the mandated observers in this situation? You know, children are sitting ducks. They need our protection at all times.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, predators get to run on gas, grooming, access, and space. Stephan had all three in this case, and it led to a devastating tragedy on all fronts.
Absolutely.
That in the
And I give before she gets into this next segment, I just still cannot fathom any single other thing in the entire world, any other reason for taking her life than either jealousy between Stephan Sterns and him thinking that, and Maddie saying, no, I don't want to do this anymore. I got a new boyfriend, or Jen Soto being jealous and her doing something and Stephan getting rid of Maddie, or like many people say, a pregnancy scare. Now, me saying a pregnancy scare is not saying that she was pregnant, but when I'm looking at this Naziah Harris case, they are trying Jarvis Butts without a body of a missing and pregnant girl that's DEAD. Okay, so I can't think of any other reason. Everybody had their way with Maddie. Jen didn't have to really worry about her. She had Stephan there, or somebody, she gave her to her mom, whatever, but she got the money for her that she wanted, and she got child support. Stephan had exactly what he wanted every single night, all the time. So he had access, didn't have to work. Everybody was getting everything they wanted except for Maddie in this situation. So, all right, let's keep going. It just, I can't see, other than the jealousy thing or a pregnancy scare, why in the world they would have taken her life. Now, yeah, I'm glad you guys are following this. Mr. Butts will be handed the booty bandits just like Stephan, and Jarvis is a monster of his own kind. That guy is like the devil that walks on this earth, and so is Stephan. But Jarvis, man, this guy, like, if you've ever seen the devil or you never seen the devil, go look at Jarvis and then put him. I mean, they're just is equivalent, you guys. It's bad. It's bad. Jen was jealous, and I can see how Stephan Sterns knee-jerk reaction, like Matt, because of Maddie. Yeah, because or maybe because of her saying that or something like that. Again, if the family was correct and and if the family did get the toxicology report and it says she absolutely wasn't pregnant, we're gonna find out. Yes, Jarvis is sick. Oh, you guys, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, get memberships if you can. We are having a members only on the 29th, which is what today's Monday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, 28th. Is that Wednesday or Thursday? I think it's Thursday. Anyway, all right, let's keep going.
Last hours, we find out that prior to watching her like a hawk, mom, Jennifer Soto, feared a Woody Allen type situation between her little girl and her live-in boyfriend, Stephan Sterns. Okay, there's more. Stephan Sterns actually blames the state for inflating his charges, artificially inflating his charges. Maddie's dead. She's been for years.
Yeah.
So I don't think those charges need inflating, Mr. Sterns. Listen to this.
Were you expecting these charges? No. The murder charge. Oh, well, we never get murdered. Okay, so you got blindsided by that.
Yeah. Obviously, it's not true. I never would have wanted her gone for any reason. So,
See?
Premeditated first degree is kind of a dick punch.
So, I mean, we've heard him say that so many times, right? He didn't have a reason to. Premeditated first degree means that he planned it out and did it. He came down and had a plan to do it, and he did it. And so he's obviously saying something else. He's going to have a different defense. And now whether he's that defense, he's saying that because he's telling the truth, or because something really did happen that was out of his control that morning. Him and Maddie he was not him and Maddie. He was fooling around with Maddie that night. Jen got home and they got into a big fight. And she said, man, I've been giving you access to her for years. You're gonna clean up after this. I'll tell you, here's the address where I used to live. You go down 192 and you go to that trail. There's gonna be gators down there. He goes down there, gets a flat tire, and that's it. It was very sloppy. So the premeditated does throw me off that they charged that way, and I still don't know why. Maybe it is because when she was pregnant. I still don't know for sure. But him saying that leads me to believe that Jen's involved. And thank you, Scylla, so much for the 99-cent super sticker. I appreciate you. Every single penny helps and it counts. Thank you. I might have to go cook some food after this and all that. I wish I could call the homeless over and say, come get the food. But if you invite them over, then they know where you live. All right, guys. Let's say a prayer for Maddie and get back to this. Whew. Rough one today.
These recorded phone calls. I don't know how in this day and age you cannot know your jail calls are being recorded.
They know.
That said, take a look at what Stephan Sterns is actually saying. Straight out to Robin Dreek joining us, former FBI, chief of FBI counter.
All right, let me answer another quick question before we get into it. We have been here for quite some time. Don't worry. Reese is home. I picked her up on my way. Also, we have two moms. So other mama Babe is here. So they're hanging out, doing their thing. All right. Now, you're not going to find that out, Jonna. But here's the thing. The family, including Jen Soto, including Tyler Wallace, who's her biological dad, have access to the autopsy and the toxicology report. Autopsy and toxicology report will tell you if Maddie was pregnant or not. End of story. So it has nothing to do if they have a pregnancy test or they knew. They know, and the family knows whether she was or not. They have a definitive answer because they have access to it, which only makes sense. All right, let's keep going. I was told that she's not, but maybe it's just because they wanted everyone to shut up. I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
Intelligence behavioral analysis program, author of a lot of books. Robin, do you hear what he's saying in that first bit of sound? And this is him talking to his mom and dad. And let me tell you, I'm going to play some more. And dad, who I think was former LE law enforcement, man, he can smell some serious hot steam and BS. He's talking to his son. He's like, what? But here, to just kick it off, Stephan Sterns says, I don't know what the plan is. Are they just trying to scare me into pleading down? Oh, no, Sterns, that ain't going to happen. You're not pleading down. What, to involuntary manslaughter? Fat chance. They're trying to scare me and trying to hurt me as much as possible. Maddie was left dead.
Exactly.
Her stuff thrown in a dumpster, her body found.
Exactly.
And he's saying, they're just trying to hurt me as much as possible. Response.
Isn't it completely shocking and abhorrent about how there's so little regard for the dead little girl by both him and her mom?
Yep.
And like you just pointed out, it is really, really striking to me about how the parents seem to be kind of just knowledgeable in some way. You know, like it's not like a shock to them. And can you imagine any one of your, beautiful little children being accused of something like this? The shock, the disbelief, because if you are used to seeing and having a healthy relationship with your child, and something like this happens, it's a huge shock to your system, but this doesn't seem to be much of a shock to them. There's a lot of leakage for a lot of years that they didn't like the behaviors they were seeing, and you're hearing it come out in this conversation right here. And then his self-centered focus is just on full display.
Shannon Butler joining
me,
investigative reporter at WFTV Channel 9 Florida. Shannon, is Stephan Sterns' dad former law enforcement?
He knew. You could tell in those calls. He knew exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
That's what I was just going to say. I know you have combed over all of these calls, and you can tell him, he's like, whoo, it's smelling bad. I mean, he could smell it a mile away. How are Sterns' parents reacting to all of this?
Well, the dad had questions very early on because the parents actually came up when Madeline Soto was missing to try to help locate her. They came up right after, he told them, hey, Madeline's missing. And the dad was always a little bit suspicious of what was happening because Sterns, remember, left in the middle of the night and was driving around. And you can tell just kind of the matter of factness on those calls, but you can also hear a little bit of that anguish as they let it set in that, hey, by the way, by the time you get out of jail, we'll all be gone and there will be no one here.
Given what Shannon Butler has just told us, I will.
And maybe that's why it was premeditation, because of what they found in there. You just saw that. And we've looked at the list before, right? We've done hundreds of episodes of this. So we've seen the actual list that have that list of items that they collected. Now, Jamila, absolutely, they did an autopsy before cremation. But if you're a true crime junkie, you know that so many times bodies have been exhumed because they missed something. So in this case, I wish they would not have done that so soon. I wish they wouldn't have given Jen that option to just say, okay, here's the autopsy, cremate her, let's have the thing and get it done out of the way. There was too much abuse happening to her for so long that I can't believe that they were able to do that. But it's always a red flag when that happens. Now, I know there's a lot of medical examiner people, or you that I see in chat maybe have been a medical examiner, or you are one and you say, no, but they take the slides and the swabs. They do. But there's also so many that you can take. Things happen. After time, some things will evaporate. They're not usable. Stuff happens. That's all I'm saying. So whoever did their job, I hope they did their job, and I hope they preserved as much as they can. But they should never have allowed that. That's all I'm saying. But I hope they did do their job.
Want you to hear what we're talking about. The dad asking, how did this whole thing come about? And Stephan Sterns essentially says, she started it. Listen.
Yeah, who's she?
You know, you and I can have a conversation. All of us could have a conversation to understand what's taken place, how this came about, how you arrived here, because it would help us better understand the situation, because we're at a loss for understanding how all this came about. I mean, we're just totally baffled.
Well, I didn't start it.
I didn't start
You
it.
didn't start it, but you participated in it, which is just as bad as not starting it. But
reminder to all, Jennifer Soto, Maddie's mother, has not been charged, has not been named a POI, person of interest, or suspect in this case. As a matter of fact, in their wisdom, she has been granted a type of immunity. Okay. So based on many of the things she told investigators, she cannot be prosecuted for those things.
And again, guys, this is if you watch true crime all the time, like I do and many of us do, all you got to do is look at the cases like the Adelsons, Wendy Adelson. They've used her. She's the only one that would have benefited directly from having her husband, Dan Markel, have his life taken away. And she's the only one that's not sitting in jail right now. All right. So the mom's being prosecuted. The brother has already been tried. And it's been, 9-10 years. And they're still using her as a witness for the state. She's the only one that directly would have benefited. And yet they gave her a certain type of immunity as well. And they keep using her over and over for each trial. So that's what they're doing here. They're establishing that level of, I don't even know what you call that right now. They're establishing that she has some credibility enough to be able to talk with her lawyer and not lie. We don't know what they wrote down in their notes, but they're doing that because they're going to use her as a state witness. Now, I know many of you say they don't need that, but they do. They do, or they wouldn't even be doing that. Wendy, I don't think they need Wendy either. They have enough evidence, but yet they're still using her. All right. Oh my God, Kathy, so many. Yes, gross negligence. So many things. We have a whole list of them. All right, let's keep going, or I'm never going to be done. And you guys know I had just one thing after the other today. I had an awful day, but yet it makes me feel better to be talking about this and working towards justice for Maddie, knowing that there's people working behind the scenes trying to get Maddie's laws, especially in Florida. That needs a change. It's huge. The things that go on there, that we need to make change.
It's a limited use immunity. Jen Soto, not a suspect.
That music.
Some woman got on a YouTube thing and said that you weren't even at the party.
I said that.
Party? Yeah, her birthday party.
I wish I knew who we were talking about. I reached out to her and I didn't get to. She didn't want to talk to me. Anyway, thank you, Sint, for the 5 Guilty of Crime memberships. I love you guys. Thank you, Sint, so much. Yeah, they're watching. So Stephan Sterns' parents are watching us YouTubers. And we were the first people to find out from the family, because we all speculated. Remember that picture of Stephan Sterns in the balloon? Well, one of the family members came forward and said, no, Stephan wasn't there. And as a matter of fact, Auntie Stephanie dropped her off at home. And after she dropped her off, then Stephan showed up. So, yeah, we were taking this way back, right? There's no way in hell that Maddie was sleeping in the car. Probably not. You're probably right if that's what you're talking about. I posed the question because others posed the question, and playing devil's advocate sometimes makes you think of other things that you didn't think of before. Sharon Belko, I hope you're feeling good, girl. Trying to catch up. You'll start at the beginning. Rewatch Crew, baby. It's all right that I had a bad day. I'm alive and I'm able to help get a voice for those that don't have one. Just one thing after the other, girl. You just God only gives you as much as you can take, right? I'm gonna remember that for today. All right. Anyone else think Jen looks like Meg from Family Guy? Yes, and Grimace and Chucky and a potato. All right, let's keep going.
Yeah, I haven't gotten there yet. I went up there Sunday evening and got there after she was done at her party.
Oh, okay.
And we were very happy that I was there. We
You're all
were
good.
very happy that the 3 of us
Right.
were together. It was shaping up to be a great week and a great visit. You know, there was
So what
no reason
happened?
for anything to happen that happened.
There was no reason for anything to happen that happened. Again, just like we heard Anna Sonoda claiming, and I'm going to need a shrink on this, it's like, that didn't have to happen. Well, according to the state, you did it. That's why it happened. She didn't just suddenly fall over dead after having been this little girl, Maddie Soto. It didn't just happen. Shannon Butler with me, investigative reporter, WFTV Channel 9. Shannon, tell me the time frame from her
Of
birthday
course.
to her murder.
The birthday was on that Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
She got dropped off back at the house, and that's when Steph also came to the house.
You know, I don't know why Dr. Jory Crossan, as many times as I've combed over this case, I didn't put that significant fact together. The night of her 13th birthday party, she was killed.
There could be a couple reasons for that. Pedophiles have age-specific victims.
True.
And when they start to
Chomos.
age out, they start to move on.
Chomos.
Okay, he really couldn't move on with this because she now becomes a liability. One of the other things already.
That is another thing, but I still think that she really said no. He was gone for like a month or so. She was probably crushing on someone else, not feeling it. Remember, she was grumpy, guys. She was grumpy. Her best friend interview that we listened to said everything bothered her that night. She was asking her, "What's your favorite food?" And she told her some food that was from Puerto Rico, and it got on her nerves. She asked her about her presents. She was pissed because she didn't get money from her mom. Everything was bothering Maddie, and she was being really bitchy. And so she might have got home. Stephan showed up. He was eating her food, and she's being really bitchy with him. And he knocked her around and whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how the roommates still didn't hear it. All they heard was this. I just don't get it. I can't comprehend. I can't comprehend because I just don't know why anyone would do that. Buster's daddy cutest baby. I wanted a dog like that, but I'm allergic to that hair. It pokes me. Thank you so much for your kind $3 super sticker. Thank you. And good night to everybody that's leaving. We're going to get through this. Tomorrow I have new content on the Madeline Soto case that we dug up in the depositions. You guys are going to get your thinking caps and buckle in tomorrow because it's going to be a wild ride and a lot of me talking too. I have so much to say.
What he mentioned was she started it. That's part of the fantasy that he was living, that this child came on to him sexually. I would lose count how many times I've heard pedophiles tell me that during clinical.
Okay, so exactly, I had to stop it because exactly what he just said, it was what I was trying to tell to you guys. That is what those chomos, classic, just a classic chomo, whatever you want to call them, that's what they tell their psychologists or psychiatrists or people, they're blah, 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 whoever they tell. That's what they say. They always victim blame, and they always say that they gave you them googly eyes, or they touched their leg, or they did this. And so that's the only reason I'm thinking that he was victim blaming when he said he didn't start it. I'm hoping that he's talking about Jen so that she can get arrested and we can talk about that. And he'll make a statement and say, actually, Jen started it. She got home. She was in a bad mood. They started fighting, blah, 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 whatever. So I really hope that. But this guy is making sense, and it's exactly what typically happens with chomos. In their mind, they think the children want them. Yeah, they're weirdos. All right. Thank you so much, Rosie, for the 99-cent super sticker. And nobody feel obligated to, if you can't afford any of that, you hit the like button. It's free. I appreciate it. All right, let's keep going.
Assessments. That's part of that fantasy they build.
To Philip Dubé joining us, you just heard Stephan Sterns saying, quote, "There's no reason for anything to happen that happened." I know you're not going to comment on any of your cases, but have you noticed, because I have, defendants, perps, suspects try to blame the crime on it just happened. Like, here's a good example. I had a guy break into a woman's home. She came home. Not only did he kill her, he raped first. And when asked why, he says, I don't know. My little nature just got up, as if he's blaming his for the murder. It's the fault. And here we're hearing Stephan Sterns saying there's no reason for anything to happen that happened. It just happened.
Yeah, unfortunately, he doesn't know the elements of the crimes. He seems to think that by being ignorant or trying to attribute it to something that was beyond his control, or that's something that appeared to be a natural urge or sort of mutually consensual, if you will, that it somehow makes it lawful. And all he did was just dig himself into a hole much deeper than he already was, because every
Philip
one of
Dubé,
those statements
I love the way you just said that. That this grown man, I mean, you did see him without a shirt on, right? Nobody wants to see that coming in the bedroom, all right?
No,
that said, much less a 9-year-old little girl, you just said mutual consent, if you will. I will not go down your garden path pretending that he thought this was mutual consent.
Well, then there's nothing to argue, frankly. If in his mind he feels that there was consent, it is not a defense because of the child's age. So all he did was incriminate himself even further. I mean, that's just the bottom line. There's just no way out of this.
Yes.
And frankly, they don't even need his statements.
Yes.
They don't even need those jail calls. They have ample evidence without a word coming out of his mouth to nail him. The only real issue here, and I know we're not discussing it, is whether or not he will die. And this is the type of case as defense counsel, I would be groveling for what we call LWOP, life without parole. That is his only hope in this case. It's not whether or not he will ever get out. The question is one of housing. Will he be condemned, or will he be in general population?
So they're not going to put him in general population ever. As whiny as he is, he may accidentally get in the general population like they did with Dahmer. Actually, Dahmer wanted to be out. He was getting bored and lonely, and he wanted to bug people. But my whole point is that the only way this guy's gonna get LWOP at this point is if he brings Jen into it. If he just shuts up right now and we get this case with the 60 CSAMs and all the other stuff, and then the premeditated, what we know, premeditated capital murder, then in Florida it's death row all the way. And if they put him around people, then they're going to put him around other child predators. So yeah, that he's got that right. That's the one thing he's got right. It's either that or that. Good chance he's going to death row, guys. That's what Florida's good for.
For the rest of his life.
To Robin Drake, longtime colleague, behavior expert, and the rest, former FBI author. Robin Drake, this guy, not Dubé, this guy, Stephan Sterns. I mean, he and Jennifer Soto, what a pair. But what about Stephan Sterns? What happened didn't have to happen. Like, it just fell on their heads. He did it, according to prosecutors.
Yeah, he's victim blaming. Boy, every time I hear or watch him speak anything, it looks like he's so rehearsed. He's done this before. He's thought about this a lot. He's contemplated this a lot. And the entire world he's created around himself, to him, is extremely believable. As our lawyer was saying, it's in his own mind. If he blames a victim, it shouldn't be an inflated charge. And literally, he believes that because he is just so twisted.
And so does somebody earlier just said about Mandu. And if you guys watch Mandu, they got the Mandu turtle, and he calls them cockroaches. So we don't call them chomos or the other things to get ourselves in trouble. They call them cockroaches, right? That's literally how they say it too, cockroaches, but cockroaches. So go watch the Mandu channel. I give you the challenge to go watch Mandu after. Just watch one episode of Mandu 1 or Mandu 2. He's got 2 channels, and I'll tell you right now, you're going to see all of the same symptoms that Stephan Sterns has. It's a classic cockroach. That's what I'm going to say.
And so broken, and he allowed himself to keep going down this dark, evil path, or victimized her. And I wouldn't be surprised if they find more.
If you know or think you know anything about the years of sex abuse and ultimate murder allegations, please dial 407-846-3333. 407-846.
Yeah, and I hope they take people serious. If people call in, they know more, or say, in hindsight, I knew something about Jen. I saw this thing, whatever. All right, yeah, I'll put up YouTube channel. It's Mandu. Thank you. Find Mandu at youtube.com. You could also just type in Mandu, and he's got Mandu, and then he's got Mandu TWO for both of them. So, yeah, it's great. You guys will really understand the mind of Stephan Sterns, and you'll understand what we have coming as far as trial goes. I'm telling you right now, it will prep you for how he talks, what he's going to say, what the defense may be, etc., etc. It's really helped me to understand this case. So I'll keep that up here. I think that's it for this. I don't think there's anything else.
3333. We remember an American hero.
And they always do that. We want to do that. And let me hit play real quick.
Police officer Kevin Tawn, Galt, PD, California, just 35, shot and killed in the line of duty. A U.S. Army vet, Tawn served with Galt PD 3 years, survived by parents, grieving.
All right. I love that they do that. May he rest in peace. I mean, these guys are heroes, and man, their lives get taken too soon. Galt Police Department, California. Galt is not that far from me, you guys. All right, man. We had a long show today. I do feel better though. Helping others makes you feel better. Hi, Jay. I've been watching your videos for a long time. I was hoping for a membership so I can watch for extra content. Jeannie Vera, I was hoping for you to get one too. I wish I can gift memberships to specific people because I absolutely would. I'd absolutely gift them. Even if I gifted some now, it's not guaranteed. So, girl, keep coming. Chat, just throw in some stuff, go in chat, comment like you're doing, and I will personally gift memberships tomorrow. I'm gonna be on fire tomorrow about the 12 depositions. I don't even know if I'm gonna get through in one episode, but we're gonna be doing the depositions. We've got audio to remember who the people are, and it's just so much to talk about. I also have I'm gonna call it a mansion, in my opinion, compared to here. It looks like a mansion where Jennifer Soto where her hideout and mommy's house. You're gonna see those things, and we're gonna talk about Jen Soto's BFF that lived right near where Maddie's body was dumped, and that's how they say it. But where she was left by Stephan Sterns, in my opinion, it was at Jen Soto's direction because Jen Soto knew where to go and she knew where to send Stephan Sterns to. When they sat down and chatted, I can almost guarantee you they chatted about where they were going to put her because she was still sitting in the freaking trunk, you guys. Instead of going straight out there and getting rid of her, he had her in the trunk all day. He came back at 9 something and sat there with Jen and sat there and played with his phone. And what did they say? Just chatted it up with each other. And Jen Soto, as a matter of fact, didn't just say that. She said, oh, he was resetting. He was updating his phone. She knew he was resetting it and getting rid of stuff. But she did a nice Freudian slip, you guys. So I love you guys. Let's get in as many memberships as we can. And yeah, we're out of here. I'm gonna go maybe get me something sweet. That always makes me feel better. And figure out what I'm gonna do with all the food that just dissipated because the freezer broke. I love you guys. Thank you for supporting the channel. I'll be back tomorrow. Justice for Madeline Soto. And remember Naziah Harris's name, please. Let's get justice for that little girl as well. 444. That's a prayer. I'm out, you guys. Love you.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty of crime?